Nice place you got here.
Appreciate that.
Although, here's a thought. You know, you could use all this. It could be a service.
Yeah, be a service, huh? Are you a service, Red? Did you serve? You pranced around the city in a Halloween costume, beating the snot out of bad guys. Hey, thank you for your service.
I mean, you could help people. You could save lives.
Actually, I did that. I was downrange, Red. Look at what it got me.
Oh, I apologize. I didn't realize you were a victim in all this.
I ain't used that pussy-ass word my entire life. You don't put it in my mouth. You understand that?
All right, so you tell me. What's going on, buddy? What are you doing down here? Day after day. Just hiding out?
I ain't hiding from shit. You walked in that door.
Your next
right
kill?
here. You goddamn right.
Great. How's that working?
You want to go out there on the street, have at it. But I do not have time for your candy-ass hero shit. Is that clear?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Yeah?
Sorry to waste your time.
Hey, panelers, welcome back to the show. I'm Mark.
And I'm Steve.
And this is going to be a spoiler-full podcast about season 1 of Daredevil Born Again, found on Disney Plus. And this episode of the podcast, we're covering episodes 4 and 5. Now, mind you, everybody, at this point, you probably have 6 as well. But we're going to do 4 and 5. We kind of missed out last week, so we're doubling up. And then next week, we're going to double up again and do probably 6 and 7. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, I might send you a voicemail for 6 before I go out of town. So you'll have it.
That works.
Yeah.
So the first episode we're going to be covering right now, and just casual talk, overall thoughts, and everything else. We're going to go into Daredevil Born Again season 1, episode 4, which is entitled Sic Semper Systema.
Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk's darker halves fight to be unleashed. That's pretty basic. I mean, I liked episode 4. I'm not going to say it was bad, because I think episode 4, and I'll say this without spoiling anything for episode 6.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 4 has a lot of stuff that sets up episode 6.
Okay.
Like, that's going to pay off in episode 6. I think, in my opinion. But episode 4 really felt like it's not a filler episode, because it has a lot of foreshadowing stuff. One very, very important character return, which we'll talk about, I'm sure.
Yeah, we do.
And I hope is not the only time we're going to see this character this season. If it is,
Better not.
Very disappointed. But episode 4, it just seemed like, especially when I rewatched it earlier today, it just seemed like it was very much a setup episode for like the rest of the season.
And for other characters and other heroes too, by the way.
Yeah.
Like we always say, this is a spoiler full podcast, everybody. That includes comic based.
Yeah.
Anything that's related. And we already know that White Tiger passed away, the actor who played him, but also the actual character itself died in the comics as well.
Oh, okay.
And he did have somebody take up the mantle. And we did get that encounter with Matt Murdock in the very beginning, with who then, none other, his niece.
Yeah. Now is that, I'll ask you, because I don't know the comic books at all. You know the comic books. I know in the comic books, isn't it his sister that takes over for him?
Yes.
Does she have the same name though? Is that or what's the
niece has the same last name, but the thing is that with the way MCU twists things, they can make this work.
Yeah. Absolutely, they can make
how
it
is.
Oh yeah,
so
for sure.
I'm really enjoying that aspect in the sense that they can actually make it work. She's a lot younger, yes,
but we've got Young Avengers coming up as well. So
exactly. So
this is, like I said, there's a lot of stuff in this episode 4 that's a setup. Really a setup for episode. I don't want to keep saying it because I don't want to give away anything that happens in episode 6.
Exactly right.
But there is a lot of stuff that in this episode is setting up for episode 6.
I gotcha.
But we've got to get through episode 5. We got to finish episode 4 before we do that.
Before we get to 5.
Before we get to 5, and then we'll get to 6.
Five could have been a. It kind of reminded me of the movie. What was it? Phone
Inside
Book?
Man.
No,
Inside Man.
No, remember with oh my God, who plays the Penguin now?
Yeah, Colin Farrell, Inside Man. It's with Jodie Foster where they rob the bank and he hides inside the walls. Is that the one you're thinking of?
I'm thinking about the one where he's in phone booth.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, it's kind of I could
to
see
some
it's kind
degree,
of like,
but
yeah, I could see it. It reminded me more of Inside Man. With the bank robbery and the cops and everything.
It's a possibility.
Wow, that's a callback, Mark. I have a quick story, and this is good. We're going to digress. I have a quick story. I was actually deployed after 9/11.
Yes.
And we got a screener that they sent to us for phone booth.
Wow.
When I was deployed. I don't know if it had actually even been released in the States by the time we got it, but we got a screener at some point. My one of the guys I was good friends with called me up and he's like, "Hey man, I got this screener. MWR gave me this screener for this movie, Phone Booth. Do you want to check it out?" I had no idea what it was. And so we got to see it, I think before it hit theaters, but definitely before it was out, for anybody to watch on DVD or anything. So just a quick story about Phone Booth, but I haven't watched that movie in forever. So
that's actually a pretty decent movie too, everybody. I highly recommend it. It's something that I always look back at too, and I always think for Adrenaline Cinema, but obviously we're talking about Daredevil Born Again. And within this particular episode, we get Fisk and his wife Vanessa at therapy. And
we get the is this the episode where the therapist mentions forgiving?
Yes.
Forgiving Adam and
because of the man's hands. And then politics comes up. And they both say at the same time, it was business.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. He said, they say what she asked, was it politics? And no, business. It was business.
Both at the same time.
They did that a couple times in this little scene where they answered because it was like they had anticipated the question, what the question was going to be. And they'd already said what their answer was going to be. So, they did that a couple times in this session where they answered at the same time.
Yeah. And then obviously the trigger for Vanessa was for her during the infidelity was her father, and then she needed to feel alive, and Wilson didn't know at the time, and then both saying they both don't know where Adam was after the affair, and Wilson having words, quote unquote words with him.
Yeah. And then, of course, we get the ending where we find out where Adam is at the end of the episode.
Yes.
So, and that's another one of those scenes that's just like, oh my goodness, that we get to see where, we talked about it last week. I think that it seems like he's trying to go straight, but yet he's got this guy chained up or locked up in the basement. There's something weird there. So, that's a little bit. That's still
maybe
a little
she
nefarious.
likes him to be sadistic. I don't know.
I don't know, but yeah, that's funny that that they showed us this glimpse of that he still has his darker side. And then of course, we saw the guy comes to his office to try to plead not to have to pay the 1.8. Oh, that's later. Never mind. But
it floats into the BB report that talks about vigilantism and how it is there. And a lot of people are saying we want Daredevil back, or we want these people back to do this stuff to take care of people. Yeah. And it's kind of like a commentary based upon the show of how they want all these people back to do what's right for the area, the location, what borough.
The cops can't do, what they can't do.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then we got Matt's talking to a new client about representing him and how he was to go about doing the case, and Matt telling him
this was a weird thing that I'm waiting. Well, he wants probation. The guy keeps coming back to, I gotta have probation. I can't spend any time in prison. I can't see or any more time because he's in jail currently. You know, he's not like he's not out on bail or anything. He's in jail. So he's Matt gets him talked down to 7 days or whatever it is. Plus the day they're in there. He's like, that's 6 days. I mean, you'll have the weekend. And then the guy still, no, it's gotta be probation. And I'm just gonna let everybody know there's no more follow up. Okay.
Regarding this,
I don't know. We don't know what happens to this guy. The last thing we see, is Matt. Matt talks to the DA, and she won't budge on prison time.
She won't budge on anything. It's one of those cases that goes cold at that point.
Yeah, and Matt doesn't seem to like. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to see this guy ever again. I don't know what's going to happen. Not. Because now he's even if he doesn't accept the 7 days, if he's going to go to trial, he's going to be in jail for longer because he's going to trial.
Yeah. Well, you have to realize too, Steve. All right, I know people that were on Rikers Island that actually did time. It's very hard at 90-day stints, stints at where they had to sit there and be, they couldn't get bailed out or anything like that. It's very hard. Rikers is very hard for a jail.
That's what I'm saying. Is this guy, if he doesn't take the 6 days, he's going to be in there even longer, right? I mean, if he doesn't accept the plea, he's going to be in there for maybe months just waiting to go to trial.
Yeah.
Definitely weeks waiting to go to trial. And so now he has the same problem that Matt has just realized the guy has. And it just didn't, that storyline for me, it
kind of came and went because
a
lot of what happens and I've sat in because, for high school for business law and for college when I went to St. John's University, I had to sit in on certain court cases and they kind of get just thrown really quick and people are thrown in prison really quick. And I thought with this particular case that Matt was given his job by his girlfriend at the time, who we know.
No, it's his partner. His partner at the law firm gives it to him. It's not his girlfriend. His girlfriend is his girlfriend is the counselor. His girlfriend is the counselor who's seeing the Fisks.
Yes, you're right. All right. I kind of got it mixed it up.
Yeah, it's hard because those two characters kind of interchangeable. He speaks to them.
Yeah.
And they kind of interchange them to where if you're not really paying attention, it gets confusing for those two characters.
It is. It is confusing for me. Sorry, everybody.
It's not just confusing for you. I think I've seen other people get confused about this whole thing of who he's talking to and where they're at and what's going on. But no, this was his partner at the law firm, the one who Foggy was hitting on at the bar in episode 1.
Yes.
That they were like, oh, he can't handle her. Right. That's the lawyer. That's the partner at the law firm. The girlfriend is the counselor for the Fisks.
For the Fisks. You're right.
Right. And so it's a weird, they're not very clearly. I mean, it's obviously two different actors. Don't get me wrong. It's actresses, female actors. Yeah, but exactly. It's still, it gets confusing with the characters because the way his character interacts with them is very similar. Is not like, I mean, obviously it's not the same way, but he's Matt still with him. So
correct. To rationalize to those female listeners, please, we don't think all women look alike. It's okay.
No, please don't think that. Don't think that. I was making the same confusion too.
They're both beautiful women, by the way.
Yeah. When he was talking in the apartment, and I was just like, wait, is this the girlfriend or is this the partner? And then I was like, okay, this is the girlfriend.
Like so hard to keep track,
Yeah, this is the girlfriend that he's talking to now in the apartment where that's her apartment this time, not his apartment. So
it's one of those cases that come and go. I think that they threw in there just to segue us I think.
Like I said, this episode 4, there was a lot about this episode 4 that kind of, it's a lot of it's setting up for later in the season. And so I don't know if this guy might be setting up for something later in the season. You know?
Because at this point, we do see him encounter Officer Powell outside the court at that point after his new client. And, Matt interrogating Powell and intimidating him. And Powell doesn't take that at that point.
Yeah, it sounds like Powell is not one of these Punisher groupie Punisher.
Yeah, because his heart rate is steady.
Yeah, it sounds like he's not involved in that side of setting up for later episodes. Yeah. This whole vigilante force, because at the end of the episode we see this person getting kidnapped and being on a slab with this guy that's got his eyes are red with the streaming, like it looks like his mask is like bloody eyes.
Yeah, it's kind of dripping. It's a white mask with dripping from the eye sockets.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's a character from the comic books or not.
It is, but I don't want to give it away. But
right, and I don't want to say anything because I've watched episode 6. But it's all set. That's another scene that's setting up for episode 6. Correct. Just like the stuff with again, I don't want to spoil episode 6. It's already out there, but the stuff with Adam is setting up episode 6.
Because
there's stuff
we've already been getting hints and shadows of it from snippets from episode 4 to episode 5 regarding that. So I already know that that's foreshadowing in a sense of those short clips that we get at the very end of each episode or in the very beginning of what's going to happen in episode 6. So keep that in mind, everybody. We're going to be doing episode 6 and 7 probably together at the same time. So we're just letting you guys know that.
Yeah.
But I also have to clarify that I was wrong about the town of Red Hook in New York State. It's an area in Brooklyn. It's actually a little portion of Brooklyn in Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah, I'm guessing they're not using the same Red Hook that's in our world, right? Because
no. There is a place in Brooklyn, New York, which is called
called Red Hook. Okay,
but it's a small little county in Brooklyn, New York. So it's on the water side, which is fine. So I kind of researched it and went into it a little bit. I actually had to talk to somebody I knew in Brooklyn about it too.
Okay. So there's a Red Hook, New Jersey also, right?
There's a Red Hook, New Jersey, but there's also a Red Hook, New York and New York State in the Hudson Valley.
Okay, cool.
But
that makes sense then why Fisk would be involved as mayor.
This is more like where I lived in Staten Island. It was more of a harbor front where it had freight and everything else incoming and outgoing when it came to freight relations. So something's going on with Fisk. It is importing and exporting of what's going on. So keep that in mind, everybody. So something's going on. So I'm glad I picked it up and I had to pick somebody's brain about it. And I'm like,
thank you for that.
Yeah. I'm like, hey, dude, and they're like, yeah, dude, there is a Red Hook in Brooklyn. You don't know it. I was like, okay, good. Thank you.
That makes sense. That makes sense then of what's going on as far as.
And then he has something to work on this for his own means. So this seems to be something fortunate for Mr. Fisk at some point, whether it be diabolical or something that maybe Vanessa's involved with. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm with you. This is this whole thing because she goes, she meets with the guy. That was last episode or this episode where she meets with the guy and wants him to pay for the murders that happened, and that's where the 1.8 million comes in. But and that'll be in episode 5. We'll talk some more about that. But so just there's a lot of stuff in episode 4, and the obviously the big thing in episode 4 is
let's move to it.
Yeah, Matt has this conversation with Frank Castle. Where
he kind of like finds this bottle. It whistles to him. He follows it. He gets the scent of Frank and he's able to follow it. It's just like he
Is that
knows.
what it was? Okay, I was trying to figure out how he found where Frank was and his scent. Okay, that
His
makes
scent
sense.
and his hearing brought
he
him
smelled
to
he
Frank.
smelled the casing. But the casing wasn't Frank's.
No, it wasn't. But the thing was that there was a bottle there and there was a whistling, and then he heard it from the sewers and everything else that was going on. Something similar that he remembered from what we knew.
Okay. I just like the way I took it was he used the bottle to find the casing. Was what I took from it, was that he reasoned that the little tiny bottle was about this, which I don't think it's even close to the same weight and dimensions as the bullet casing. And so when it gets knocked by the one bottle gets knocked by the motorcyclist passing by, and
Correct.
then so he picks up the little tiny bottle and he's like, well, let me see, maybe this bullet casing went somewhere. And so he kicks it with his cane and follows it and finds the bullet casing. That he obviously can't use the bullet casing for any kind of evidence because it's now lost chain of evidence because he's found it, not a cop. But it's got Frank's marking on it. But then I guess, okay, I'll go with you. Maybe he picked up, that was the thing that confused me the most.
He picked up on a scent, and I forgot where it was in the scene. Sorry, everybody. I wasn't very meticulous. I didn't pause and go through everything.
No, I'm going to go on the benefit of the doubt that you're right. I really think they're not telling us how he found Frank. I think they're just making us try to surmise that he just found Frank. And the thing that bugged me about this conversation is Frank basically gets on to Matt for not doing anything.
Yes.
And saying, well, you haven't worn the suit. You didn't, excuse me.
Good.
Sorry. You didn't, revenge Foggy. You let that guy live.
Literally, Frank was like basically going, you're not doing what you were supposed to have been doing all this time as a vigilante.
You're not doing your thing, but you want to do it again. And what bothered me about this attitude from Frank is, by all appearances, neither is Frank.
Yes,
what's he doing?
He's been stagnating. He actually states the bullet casing was from fanboys.
Yeah, he's got this freaking Bushman Duck Dynasty beard.
Literally, it's Frank from where we saw him in season 1 of Punisher, if you remember.
Yeah, before he got a mission, before he knew what he wanted.
Frank lost his way again.
Yeah, and what bothered me about this attitude from Frank is he's basically accusing Matt of not doing what he's supposed to be doing when he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing. He's not out there.
I think by the end of the season, he's going to eat his words and he's going to be there with Matt.
I think I would hope so. I hope that's what we get.
I think that's where they're trying to lead this to. But the thing is that he's going to realize I gave this guy crap. He's already been out there doing his thing on occasion, but on a down low, because we all know this from episode 5, and we'll go into episode 5 eventually, everybody. But he winds up doing everything on the down low, Matt, because he still can't get away from it. He can't stop being who he is. Whereas Frank has been stagnating, as Steve had said. He's like his hair's getting long. He's got a full beard, just very much how we saw him pathetic in the very beginning of the Punisher season.
He's hiding out in this basement. I don't know what. We don't know what he's doing. And like I said, it appears that he's not doing anything. And I'm like, it bugged me that this was the Frank Castle.
It's like them trying to reinvent the characters from where we saw them last on Netflix. And honestly, it's like reinvigorating, Matt as Daredevil and both Frank as Punisher. And I have a funny feeling at the very end, we're going to get a catalyst of a lot of other characters at the very end that we needed before. And it's just like, okay, so you basically... we came full circle again So we're not negating Netflix at this point. We're giving us, and to use Rob's words, and I have to use Rob Moda's words. Yes, it is a watered down version of what Netflix gave us, but it still has the drama and the writing in it for the characters.
Okay.
And that's what Disney wants to do.
Okay. Yeah. If that's what, because obviously, like I said at the beginning, episode 4 is setting up for a lot of stuff that we're going to see in episode 6 and beyond the series. I think so it just that's what it felt to me, particularly watching it for the second time. I just was like, this is just everything we're seeing is just, and that's why I worry that we're not going to get Frank Castle until, episode 9.
I hope not. I really don't.
I hope not. I hope we get him for more than just a little piece. But
well, the MCU wind up giving us a little whole thing about Doomsday, and if they negate Daredevil, and I'm like, really? So everything.
Yeah, I didn't see that cast announcement. I guess they were announcing the cast for
Avengers
Doomsday today.
But you have to realize too, there's a total of 46 characters, and they've only announced 20.
Okay.
28 of them.
Okay. So still, I don't know what any of the 28 are, except for Chris Hemsworth that I saw on
Tom Hiddleston and a few other people. But
okay.
Yeah.
How can Tom Hiddleston? Oh, it's fine. We'll figure it out.
Loki.
Yeah, no, I know, but he's the tree. He's not like, is he going to stop being the tree? Or is it a different version of Loki? Anyway, that's for Loki. That's not for.
That's
but
for
yeah,
Loki.
episode 4, we have Frank Castle finally.
We got Frank Castle coming back. He gives a little bit of foundation to Matt, go back into everything, pushing him in the fact of what he didn't do for Foggy, mind you. Frank's being a little bit of a hypocrite because he has not been doing anything himself. He keeps talking about fanboys and how everybody's doing their own thing in his name. And he talks about his son, which we get a little bit of a rehash about from original Punisher season 1.
Yeah, about that he's still wallowing in the
he's still wallowing in that, but we don't hear anything about Micro or anything else about the original show. But
yeah.
So Iban is fine because he's the Thing. He's going to be in Fantastic Four. So, but we won't see him again.
Yeah.
But,
so I mean, for me, that's about all I have with episode 4, unless you've got something.
But
more.
the very last scene though, with Matt's dance with his weapons in his costume.
Oh
and
yeah,
that hidden chamber with all the different cowls
all the different
that he
masks.
has.
Again, setting us up. Again, it's just a more setup for what we're gonna. I don't want to give too much away, but
and then you get Fisk's rooftop dinner as Matt is doing this with his clubs that turn into what we all know. And you realize, wow, Fisk is sadistic, and we know what happened to Adam. That was that final scene,
right?
And then that's pretty much how it ends. It's literally Fisk still being Fisk and tormenting those.
Yeah,
anyhow.
I think that's what we're to take away from that is Fisk is still Kingpin, Matt is still Daredevil, and
the back of his head. Yeah, he just
whoever
can't convert to that. Yeah.
Well, not yet, but we see that he still has all the stuff. He still has all the stuff and has all access to it. And then whoever this new character is, that's killing people. So
correct.
So
next episode,
episode 5, with interest, a day in the life of Matt Murdock gets intense, forcing him to team up with a familiar face. I was so happy. I want to say to part of me, like,
this was a callback to Disney Plus and for Captain Marvel.
Yeah, this was a callback to Miss Marvel, to the Marvels, this was to all the people that didn't like Ms. Marvel because it was too woke or whatever you didn't like about Ms. Marvel, and whatever you didn't like about the Marvels because it was crappy writing. I don't care. Yeah, I loved seeing Mr. Khan again.
Same here.
I love that character. I think he's fun. I think the fact that he's that he does now. Remind me, because I don't remember from Ms. Marvel and the Marvels. Does he know he knows his daughter is Ms. Marvel, right?
Yeah, by the Marvels, he knows that his daughter is Miss Marvel.
So when he's talking about her being in California and then tries to show Matt, it's so funny when he tries.
It's like
he
a bobblehead or a
he shows
Funko
him
Pop.
the Funko Pop. He says it's a customized Funko Pop of Ms. Marvel, and Matt like points at his eyes and his stick, and he's like and Mr. Khan is like, oh, well, trust me, it looks like her, basically. That's what he says. It's
so cute in a sense that, it's like it is Mr. Khan. He's loving his daughter.
Yeah.
And
he's so proud.
On top of that, too, when you say she's in California, you know what that represents? The West Coast Avengers.
Okay.
So, Avengers West Coast, everybody. I'm sorry, because there was so many iterations. When I was in junior high into high school, the West Coast Avengers came out. Now, mind you, was Miss Marvel part of that at that time? No, but later on in the 2000s, they brought it back and called it Avengers West Coast, which is weird. Okay. But anyhow, we're going to get those characters back, and we're going to get the younger Avengers there. But the fact that we got Mr. Khan there, which I love.
Yeah, I love that he figures so prominently in the episode. It's not just a one-off little scene, and there's nothing.
No, he's there throughout the whole.
He's throughout the whole thing. I love the fact that they're giving us these callbacks to, you talked about the blip and how they didn't mention the blip.
Yeah,
but we are getting these subtle little callbacks to other MCU shows and other MCU movies and stuff to make us remind us that this is the same world. This is the same. We're in the same, whatever. I'm not Earth 116 or whatever. I don't know what the number
616.
616. Okay. I just enjoyed the little callbacks we've been getting.
Same here
to the bigger universe that's out there, because that was the thing about the Netflix shows was they were so to a lot of the point. They were standalone shows to where even She-Hulk, it only crossed over with Daredevil, and so getting this bigger picture of these MCU characters, I thought was really, really cool. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed him throughout the episode, and I'm so glad he's there. But I was telling Mark before we started recording. I think episode 5, I only got about halfway through a second watch, but I'm going to finish watching it for a second time. I may even go back and watch it a third time at some point before I watch episode 6 again. Just because I think episode 5 right now is my favorite of this season.
Yeah. As a standalone, it works on its own. It takes place on St. Patty's Day, everybody.
Yeah.
And Mr. Khan points out, he goes, "Oh, we're in green."
We're in green. Yeah. You might get pinched by a leprechaun. And I'm like, yeah. So a day when assault is not considered wrong. But anyway, I did like though that it still played into the bigger storyline, because the whole reason these guys are there robbing this safety deposit box is because they got to pay Fisk. They're the crew that robbed the truck,
correct?
The Red Hook truck, and they have to pay back
with that diamond,
Fisk, with that, the 1.8 million, and they're going to end up not getting it, and that's going to lead us into some more stuff in episode 6.
Correct.
But I like that they kind of introduce us to this new character, this detective. Who is the negotiator? We are going to see her again.
Awesome!
Sorry, spoiler for that.
Hey, it's fine. I'm fine. I'm fine with that, everybody.
Well, and episode 6 is already out, so it's not like
I know.
We're not spoiling anything. But it's so I liked that it reminded me a lot. And Mark, again, we talked. I think it was before we started recording. It reminded me a lot. Oh no, we did talk about it on the recording. Of that movie Inside Man with Jodie Foster and Colin Farrell, that I thought was really, really good. I think it's Colin Farrell, but it just reminded me of that.
Yeah, we talked about that, and I kind of confused with Phone Booth and
yeah. So but I like there's a lot of stuff I loved. I think my favorite right now where I stopped watching as to come start recording this was the
Yes.
stairwell fight. Matt had just finished his stairwell fight.
Oh
With the guy where he does, and I've seen this now. I've seen this move. I want to say like in 3 different shows in just the last few days because I've been rewatching Person of Interest. This Brazilian jiu-jitsu leg choke out thing that we saw from Lethal Weapon. Remember Lethal Weapon 1?
Yes.
At the end of Mel Gibson does it to Gary Busey. He does this reverse Brazilian leg choke out of the guy. I thought was so cool to see
it's like
Charlie Cox do that. It's a weird, you gotta twist your body in a weird way, and doing it on a stairwell.
It's almost a wrestling kind of move, everybody.
Yeah,
and
it
the
definitely
way to
is.
get you twist your legs around them.
Yeah, and then he catches the shotgun before it can fall.
Yeah,
and make more noise.
He was like,
yeah, and because he didn't want to make more noise because they've already made noise when that knife hit the ground.
Mhm.
Even the hostages could hear that there was something going on, and eventually the head bank robber Devlin is gonna the closed captioning, by the way, identified all these guys by their mask except for the main guy, which they called him Devlin. So I think we've seen him before. I'm not sure we've seen him before or not, but but he identified him as Devlin. But he calls down to the vault to hey, what's going on down there? What's taking so long? And Matt is able to use his Irish accent to confuse the guy and make him think that he's the one holding Mr. Khan hostage. So I love that whole fight in the stairwell thing. And then when he catches the guy outside the bank later, and he puts his glasses away and he puts his cane down and he ends up grabbing the guy.
Takes him out.
Yeah, and it was just really, really cool to see these fight scenes that we've got some of those in this, but to see
it's in the daylight too, everybody. It's not like it's like in a hidden hallway or anything. It's done very well. Kudos to Charlie Cox, his stunt doubles, everybody, and the way they were able to actually do it.
This show really does a good job. I don't know who his stunt double is, but his stunt double is definitely close to his height and body build, body structure, which is so good. I'm just going to say for stunt doubles, because I've watched way too many shows where the stunt double is like 6 inches taller than the person that they're pretending to be. And you're watching these fight scenes when they're editing back and forth between the actual actor and their stunt double. And you're like, how come his head is now like even with this other person's head, but now it's down to his chin?
You don't want to know what I watched today that I had at a client's house. I actually had to take a picture of a TV after I finished and finalized it with their Sonos and everything. And it was Roadhouse, and I'm like, wow, that does not look like anything like Patrick Swayze.
Oh wow, yeah, I'll have to check that because he did a lot of his own in that. But there was
did a lot of his own, but there was a certain point, and I was just like, ooh,
right, yeah. Sorry, but yeah, I'm really impressed by this show. One of the things they've done really well is the stunt doubles have done really well. At least for Charlie Cox, have definitely done really well.
Yeah, I think they synced them up very. Particularly, Keanu Reeves has his one own, who we all know, who led him through John Wick, and he was his stunt double throughout a lot of the Matrix and everything else. So I really like that fight scene in the stairwell, and then Matt using his hearing to open the safe with the lock, locks, and then even Mr. Khan going, "How do you do this?"
Well, I'm a really good lawyer. He's having
a full conversation as he's picking a lock
as he's doing it. I loved it. It was really, really cool. And then I have to say, I did not see it coming. The thing with the little candies, it didn't even until Matt took the candy at the end. Mm-hmm. And I was like, why is he taking the can? Because when she opens up the bag and she like breaks out the bag and I'm like, what is that in her hand? I don't even know what that is that she's holding.
Yeah.
And then I realized when he takes the candy, I go, oh, she had one of the candies in the bag, and he left the jewel in the candy dish there.
Yeah, and he knew it by touch.
Yeah. Mr. Khan finds it. I thought was really cool. There at the end, you see Mr. Khan lift it up and go, oh, because we have, because they make a point of him going back to see Mr. Khan and Khan going, we haven't found the thing yet. So I thought that was really, really cool. That wasn't episode 5, right? I'm not spoiling episode 6. Am I?
No. That was later in episode
I thought
5.
that was episode 5. Yeah. I thought it was episode 5. Yeah, so I really enjoyed it. It's almost kind of a bottle episode, and then a lot of it takes place inside the bank, but there is stuff outside the bank as well. So it's not
The nod to Kamala was the biggest takeaway for me.
yeah,
Because it's kind of like embracing the idea of Mr. Khan. And at first, honestly, everybody at first watch, I was like, Mr. Khan. Oh crap.
yeah.
And I was like,
oh no, as soon as I saw him and he introduced, I said, oh, that's Ms.
Kamala's
Marvel's dad. Yeah.
And then when you started talking about Jersey and everything else,
yeah.
Good takeaways from this one that you'll laugh at, everybody. I'm sorry. The bank patron at that time had the sign Mark Messier signed puck.
Yeah.
That was nice. I love that. I'm a Rangers fan, everybody.
Rangers, Mets, Jets. Is that you? Are you main Rangers, Jets, Mets?
No. Rangers, Giants.
Okay.
And
he was
Yankees
Rangers Jets
fan.
Yeah, he was Rangers, Jets, Mets. I thought was a cool little. That's what the guy says.
I cannot condone the Mets. That's a Brooklyn thing. But I'm a Staten Island boy, and I loved Yankees. I love the New York Giants for football and the Rangers. Now you can yell at me all you want, everybody. I know a lot of former Rangers fans are now New Jersey Devils fans. So. But I still hold on to my Rangers.
I thought that was a really cool that they put that guy in there, and that we had to have that little character moment with that guy. I like that Matt says he's got to go, and the guy's like, "You should have thought of that before you missed out on leaving." No, I got to go to the bathroom. I loved how the guy kept calling. Once the guy figured out he was a lawyer, he kept calling him a solicitor. Just that whole England, Ireland thing.
Oh, it was Irish. He had an Irish bro.
That's what, but I'm saying is they use that term solicitor over there in
they do,
England,
and
Ireland, Wales, those places where we would call it just a lawyer here in the States. But so I thought that was kind of cool that he kept calling him solicitor, and the other guy kept calling him Stevie Wonder because he was blind. This was a fun episode.
It was a fun episode in the sense that it was a standalone bottled episode, but it made it work. And it was very short in comparison to most of the other episodes.
Yeah, it was like 37 minutes.
It was 37 minutes, give or take. And then the others were about almost close to an hour.
Yeah. So it was a shorter one, but like I said, I really did. I liked it. I like bank robbery shows. I don't know why. Heist movies and heist TV shows. I find it fascinating to watch that stuff. But
you would love Swordfish, obviously.
Yeah. I like Swordfish. Yeah,
I love Swordfish.
Yeah. So it was really cool to see this kind of an episode here. It kind of stuck in the middle, and give us kind of a break from what we've been, all this super serious stuff, dead bodies and everything. And the fact that the main boss was actually in the bank. She was the one that, the guy slips.
That was involved with it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't catch it until my second watch, but I realized that Matt, when he comes into the bank, he identifies like everybody's heartbeat.
And then he pulls on hers. And hers is
he's in on hers because hers was like calm or slightly different, and so at the end he's gonna key in on her slightly, realizing that she's the boss that they're talking about. So I thought that was really cool. That again we get to see Matt's his special talents being used there.
Yeah, it is great. As far as quotes, the only thing that I have is a quote from episode 4, and that's from our key prisoner at that time, and he goes, "Bring on the blind justice." And that's when Matt shows up to talk to his new client at the cell.
Yeah. I like the guy using Matt's blindness to make jokes.
Yeah, exactly right.
There was one, and I wish I had written it down. I heard it in my second watch where he says something about when Matt says his name, he says, "Oh, not only do we have a solicitor, but a wee leprechaun, or something like that," because
Yeah.
Charlie Cox is a shorter guy, so he
A
calls him a
version.
wee. Yeah, a wee leprechaun. I thought was he had some line about being him being a wee leprechaun. Where are you from? Where are you from, wee leprechaun, or something like that? And Mark says, "I don't know. I'm an orphan." And he's like, "Wow, you're an orphan, and you're a solicitor, and you're an orphan, and you're a Charles Dickens story."
Yeah.
I thought the guy the interactions between Matt and the bank robber guy was really really good. So. But yeah, that's about all I got. I wish I could talk about episode 6. It's good. It's just again, I don't want to spoil too much because it is out there for you to watch.
Yeah, but we're gonna hold off, everybody, because next week we're gonna do episode 6 and 7 together. So
and I'll send you a voicemail for 6 because I'm gonna be going out of town before 7 drops. So
all right, but we're gonna be covering those.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind, everybody. We're giving you a little bit more leeway. Thank you for giving us a little leeway and doing this and giving this to you. It's a little late than most other people, but we're thankful for that. In comic news, we had mentioned it earlier in the very beginning. Actually, with Avengers Doomsday, we got it was like 5.5 hours of Marvel on YouTube. Apparently, I was working all day. Everybody, I was all the way up in Middletown, New York, and doing a job that was all day, and I couldn't really look at my phone. Yeah, I have to do work like everybody else. This is just something I like to do because I like to have fun. But apparently we got Chris Hemsworth back, Anthony Mackie, Paul Rudd, Letitia Wright as the new Black Panther, and then Simu Liu as Shang-Chi, Danny Ramirez as the new Falcon, as we know from Captain America Brave New World.
Yeah.
And Winston Duke as M'Baku. He's back. M'Baku from Black Panther. Remember that, everybody. We got Sebastian Stan back as the Winter Soldier, Florence Pugh as Yelena Belova, Wyatt Russell as U.S. Agent, or the Walmart Captain America, everybody. Anyhow, not to give Wyatt any little guff about that, but I do love him. David Harbour as Red Guardian. Hannah Jean Kamen, as we all know from... Oh, she was Ghost.
Yeah, Ghost, not Quantumania. The other Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yes. And Louis Pullman, a character at this time simply known as Bob. And we all have our thoughts about that. And we'll talk about that next time, because I have already thoughts about that. Anyhow, the cast reveal also included X-Men actors Patrick Stewart, as we all know, as Professor X, Ian McKellen, Magneto, James Marsden as Cyclops, and Rebecca Romaine Stamos, or Rebecca Romaine, sorry, can't say Stamos anymore, as Mystique. And they kicked off the whole X-Men franchise in the Fox Marvel network at that time, the Fox Marvel films. They will be joined with the X2 X-Men United class, Alan Cumming as Nightcrawler, Kelsey Grammer as the Beast, as we saw him last in the Marvels, and also Channing Tatum, as we know, as Gambit, that we saw in X-Men and Wolverine. Deadpool and Wolverine, sorry. And members of the Fantastic Four, as we know who they are now: Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Ebon Moss-Bachrach, and Joseph Quinn, as we all know, as Johnny Storm. And then we got Tenoch Huerta Meja, who played Namor in Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. And there's going to be more that's going to be dropped eventually, for the fact that not only does Doomsday incorporate everything that we're going to get in Secret Wars, but it's going to be a total of 46 to 48 characters total.
Wow.
Of superheroes of different versions at that too, by the way. There's speculations that Scarlett Johansson will be back. Chris Evans could come back. It could be Human Torch. It could be Captain America again. Who knows? Or Captain Hydra. Or she could be Madam Hydra. Who knows? We don't know. But it's all speculation, but I look forward to seeing it. But the ones that we already recited are definite in because that's what they gave us on YouTube. I did not spend the 5.5 hours, but I am going to spend 5.5 hours one morning when I wake up early and just watch it, just to have fun, just to because you got Robert Downey Jr. there talking about this stuff. And I'm like, wow, he got paid lots of money. And I love Robert Downey Jr. But, he is Victor Von Doom right now, as well as your pseudo Tony Stark. Who knows what the story is? We don't know what the Russo brothers have, but we hope that you actually got to watch the new movie that the Russo brothers did on Netflix. Did you see that, Steve?
No. What? I don't know.
It was like
all this is. I don't know any of this because I didn't spend any time this afternoon. I just saw a brief clip that they were releasing names.
No. I meant the Russo brothers movie with.
No, I don't know that either. I don't know. No. I don't
check it out if you can. It's interesting. It's
what's it called?
It's Electric something. I look at it for
I'm
Netflix.
glad you're going to recommend something you don't know the name of. That's really cool. Thanks. I'll look it up. Electric State? Is it Electric State?
Yes, you are correct.
Isn't that the one that everybody's blasting and saying is no good?
They're blasting it. It's an interesting watch. I highly recommend it just to watch it once.
Okay,
at least
I'll see what I can do.
Give your ideas and thoughts, and you could say it was crap. But I thought it was interesting. I liked it to some degree. I liked Chris Pratt in it, and Millie Bobby Brown were pretty cool. And it's the Russo brothers.
Okay.
And one of the Russo brothers actually does make an appearance too, by the way. Anyhow, let's keep on moving. Not to make this too long, but also to make it a little brief for the fact that, we're doing too much. Podcast recommendations. Anything else you could recommend?
Right now, just Still Slaying finally released an episode here. I haven't listened to it yet, but I don't know where they're at in their rewatch of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel. I don't know if I'm going to get caught up before I leave town, but if anybody out there likes reality TV, I'll just plug it again. Rob has a podcast, is Rob Cisternino. He has a bunch of podcasts about reality TV. If you are any kind of fan of reality TV, I highly recommend Rob Cisternino's Rob Has a Podcast. They have a plethora, they have more than even Podcastica has out there of podcasts, it seems.
Awesome.
But anything from RHAP is great. And obviously we've talked about it before. Anything from Podcastica is great. They I just started listening to the final episode for Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai cast on Podcastica. I can't wait to listen to the rest of that one. And just check out podcasts, man. They're good.
Yeah. I highly recommend Podcastica as well. You got Yellow Jackets WTF. If you've not watched the last episode, WTF on that particular episode. Follow them along with what their coverage is. I have my thoughts. I have my own speculations, but I'm not giving them to them. I haven't really sent feedback in a while. I try to do that too with our friends, Mandy and Becky, with the Pirate Core Entertainment podcast with their coverage on What's On Tonight, The Pit.
Yeah.
And I tried to do that, and they kind of missed my kind of feedback, but they'll get it next week. Anyhow, I'm terrible at feedback and giving feedback, everybody. So keep that in mind. I'm terrible. I'm I sound a little bit more passionate about what we're talking about when we podcast than I do when it comes to feedback. I liked it. Yeah, it's terrible.
Okay, Chattanooga, Mark.
Yeah, exactly. Chattanooga. Anyhow, also Run for Your Lives podcast that's on Podcastica. check them out as well. They got a couple of new movies that they did cover, so highly recommend that. We did send out stuff for feedback, but we did not receive anything. But I understand that. For you to send out any feedback, all you have to go to is subscribe to our, Facebook page, which would be Panels to Pixels at facebook.com. So facebook.com/panels to pixels. I leave an image on that, and whatever goes into Facebook goes on to Instagram. Just leave the comments below, and then we'll be able to read them. You can email us at panelstopixels1@gmail.com. Panels spelled out 2TO pixels number 1@gmail.com. We'll read it, your thoughts, or you could record yourself and send it as attachment, and we could play it. We could be found on YouTube as well. All you have to do is search for Panels to Pixels podcast, and then just give your thoughts and comments on the previous episode if need be, and then we could actually play them or read them. Anyhow, we could be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or whatever podcast player of choice. If there's a rating review, please do so. Be greatly appreciated.
Yeah.
So that's about it for where you could reach us. But where else can listeners hear us, Steve?
Well, I can be here, obviously, right here on Panels to Pixels podcast, but I also send in feedback. I do send in feedback to various other podcasts that our friends do, such as Yellow Jackets WTF and Cast of Us, who are doing a rewatch of The Walking Dead. They're going to take a break as the Cast of Us is going to be returning back to The Last of Us, as The Last of Us season 2 comes out in a couple of weeks. So they'll be taking a break from their Walking Dead rewatch, and that gives me a little bit of a break while I go out of town as well. But yeah, you can hear my voice on various other podcasts that our friends cover.
Awesome. And as well, I could be here as always on Panels to Pixels podcast as we cover everything that we do. You could also hear me on Adrenaline Cinema podcast, and hopefully Steve and I could actually get back to the Lethal Weapon world, and then do Lethal Weapon 3 eventually, and possibly another action film. So we're trying to get back into that sequence, and as well as do is with Becky, Billy, and Lara and myself as we cover Mayfair Witches and finalize this particular last season 2 of Mayfair Witches. You could hear me also on the Pyrocore Entertainment podcast with the Pyrocore Music podcast. We'll be putting out Appetite for Destruction, Guns N' Roses, myself, Rima, who you all know from Strange Indeed from Podcastica. So she and I are going to be recording this coming weekend. So by the time you get this, we will be recording. So look out for that, and hear our thoughts on that and the history of the band and our love and thought of that particular album. More to come would be on Adrenaline Cinema podcast, Rad, the movie Rad from 1986, as well as on the Pyrocore Music podcast. My friend Rob Murr and myself will be covering about the Iron Maiden legacy. So the band Iron Maiden, we're going to be covering that eventually before the documentary comes out. So check that out, and then eventually there'll be more stuff out there. So with that, I just want to thank everyone for listening. I'm Mark.
And I'm Steve.
Same podcast, different panel, different pixel. This was Panels Pixels podcast, and we'll see you on the next panel. We'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Good night.